what's your take on the ritual versus internal power systems?
All right. First of all, they're not exclusive of each other. Most ritual systems will have some internal power work, and most internal power systems will have an element of ritual with them. Okay, that's kind of a cop-out answer. 60 skills, let's be specific about what we're talking about here. All right. Take something like the Golden Dawn system. Well, you have the middle pillar exercise, that's an internal power part of that. Take something like Tibetan Buddhism, highly ritual, all these different things. Well, they have troll core, pranayama, breath retention with body movement. Even Shingon Buddhism does a lot with the puja or fire ceremony, which is going to generate energy by burning things. That's not really an internal power system, but that's not purely ritual either. Likewise, a lot of internal power systems, like, say, Tai Chi, Xing Yi, Bagua Zhang, traditional martial arts, you've got your forms. That's a kind of ritual because it's something you repeat over and over again. Okay. But the preponderance of your effort in that is holding posture, doing Qigong, doing certain kinds of breath work, certain kinds of vocalizations. That's all internal power work. So, okay. Ritual versus internal power. The advantage with ritual work is it works fast. Because there's this egregore, this intelligent, empowered, energetically empowered thought form out there, that if you know the right gestures, the right words to say, the right movements to perform, i.e. the right ritual, and you have the right empowerments in many cases from practitioners of the system, you can access that stored battery of energy in the egregore, and because it's intelligent, it will come into you, shut off some of those internal safeties you have, share its power with you to a limited degree, and allow you to do things that, if you had to do purely on your own, would be much harder to do, if not impossible in many cases. Now, the catch with working with an egregore is, as we've mentioned before, not only the fact that it modifies your perception of reality and your thought process to be more in tune with it, it impacts your free will. There's no other way to say that. It's also the issue that because it works by disabling certain safeties in your body, it may get your body to produce something or an effect, if you will, that is potentially damaging you because it's overriding those safeties. Also, ritual magic tends to be slow. And I'll get to this advantage of this involving internal power in a second, but it's kind of the wind up in the pitch way of doing magic. You have to do all these steps, they take a certain amount of time. The entity you're involved with also gets a say in whether or not you want to do something. So in many cases, while ritual magic can be very powerful, it's oftentimes not something flexible and frequently not something you can do on demand. So those are the advantages and disadvantages of ritual magic. Now, when it comes to internal power systems, the big disadvantage is the time you need to spend cultivating that ability. It takes a lot of time, a lot of practice, because you're having to build something inside of yourself to do something, and you're not getting any help from outside sources. So just the same way you gradually improve your run times in, say, the kilometer or the mile, you're going to have to go through a lot of pain, you're going to have to get over self-doubt, you're going to have to defeat your internal restrictions on your own, and that takes time. That's the primary disadvantage to an internal power system. Other disadvantage to an internal power system is there's nobody there to tell you what to do. It's a lot like when you're working with letter magic. In many cases, when you're dealing with combinations of letters, you have to figure out what the effects being generated are, because there's no entity telling you what it's going to do. You have to figure it out on your own. Now, advantages. One, even though running a lot of fire energy can make you manic or a lot of water energy depressed, for the most part, internal power work doesn't impact your free will a whole lot. For the most part, it'll make you more animated, and that can be a little hard to deal with depending upon your age and personal choices in life. The I am a blazing Greek god while standing on top of a rooftop is something people have done from time to time before jumping into the pool below. But ultimately, internal power methods don't impact your free will a whole lot, even if they do impact your decision making through manic behavior and the like. Okay. Also, internal power systems are generally something you can do as you need to. It's very easy to do them what we in English would call on the fly or spontaneously, because you don't need to go through this elaborate ritual to make the effect happen. So that's the advantage to an internal power system. Keeping in mind that most systems out there are a combination of the two. Highly ritualized systems like, say, Tibetan Buddhism have Trollcore. But on the flip side, things like Tai Chi have their long form, and that's very much a rhythmic kind of dance, i.e. ritual. So those are the advantages and disadvantages of ritual versus internal power systems, keeping in mind there are very few examples of something that is purely one or purely the other.